most terrifying thing you've discovered about your child? 22 years ago, my husband was arrested for storing 13 gigabytes of illegal child material on his computer, and in the aftermath, I spiraled. It didn't take long for me to become an alcoholic, and I quickly found myself dreading and being unable to care for my 6-year-old daughter Josie. I neglected her, didn't buy her clothes, didn't cook her dinner. I think some part of me saw her as a reminder of him. That's how I justified it. So when someone else came along and started parenting Josie, I was happy to let them. It started one morning when I came downstairs at 7 a.m., hammered and barely aware of what was happening. When I saw her eating toast saying, "It's okay, mommy, you can go back to bed. Charlie made me breakfast." I didn't even think about who Charlie was. I was just thankful I could get back to bed. Very soon, Charlie became this incredible presence in our lives. Josie would relay his advice to me like, "Charlie says you should eat something with your coffee," or "Charlie thinks you look sad and should call grandma." In my drunken haze, I was genuinely grateful that someone was taking care of my daughter because I clearly wasn't capable. Unfortunately, things started falling apart faster when I lost my temp job for showing up drunk. The eviction notices piled up, and soon Josie's teacher, Mrs. Rodriguez, started calling about Josie falling asleep in class and wearing dirty clothes. It didn't take long for CPS to show up at our door. I went into full panic mode and started blaming everyone I could think of. My ex-husband, obviously, the nosy neighbors, probably even Mrs. Rodriguez for not minding her own business. But Josie was incredible during those visits. She'd clean the entire house before the worker even came and coached me on what to say. "Charlie says we should put away anything that looks bad," she'd say while shoving bottles into closets. The social worker kept coming back though. More surprise visits, more probing questions about our finances and living situation. I noticed Josie was starting to show signs of stress, like biting her nails down to nothing and having trouble sleeping. But she never complained. She just kept following Charlie's guidance and somehow kept our family together. I tried again to be a better mother when I decided to cook Josie's favorite spaghetti dinner one evening. I'd been drinking heavily all day, but I was determined to prove I could still take care of my child. I remember standing at the stove stirring the sauce and feeling proud of myself for making this effort. That's the last thing I remember before waking up in a hospital bed. The doctor explained that there had been a kitchen fire and my daughter had called 911. I was being treated for smoke inhalation and alcohol poisoning. When I finally became fully conscious, Josie was sitting in a chair beside my bed looking absolutely exhausted. My mother was there too. There was also a social worker taking notes on everything. Everyone was talking about what was best for Josie, and the social worker was listing all their concerns, while my mother demanded to know who Charlie was. They were discussing custody arrangements and treatment programs like I wasn't even in the room. That's when Josie completely broke down. She'd been sitting there quietly through all the adult conversations, but suddenly she started sobbing harder than I'd ever seen. She looked at all of us with tears streaming down her face and screamed, "Stop! Charlie isn't real!" The entire room went dead silent. "I made him up," she cried through her tears. "I pretend he tells me what to do so I can take care of mommy." She kept talking through sobs, and with every word I felt like I was dying inside. She told us how she'd been hiding my bottles when I was too drunk to drive safely, how she'd been coaching herself on what to say to teachers and social workers to protect our family, how she'd learned to call 911 during emergencies. "I'm so tired of being Charlie. I just want to be 6 years old." I felt like someone reached into my chest and ripped my heart out. This whole time I thought some mysterious friend was taking care of my daughter, but it was actually her taking care of me. My mother took custody that same day, and 2 weeks later I was transferred to a rehab facility. During those 90 days of forced sobriety, I had to face the horrible truth about what I'd done. I hadn't been seeing Josie as her own person, but as a reminder of her father's crimes. That innocent little girl had done nothing wrong except love me unconditionally while I pushed her away. When I finally got my first supervised visit after completing the program, Josie asked me something that broke my heart all over again. "I love you more than Charlie loves me." I'm 3 years sober now, and Josie lives with me again full time. I finally learned to see her as the amazing kid she is instead of a painful reminder of the past. She's my daughter, and I'm determined to be the mother she deserved from the very beginning.